landed up with, we were training people, they wanted careers, but in rural, there are no careers. Just to give you a perspective, how many people do you think, people like you, are there in the Indian education system as we speak? Rough guess. How many students are in the Indian higher education system now? Some guesses? Quick. 9 million, that's 90 lakhs. Any higher, lower number? Any higher, lower number? Okay. There are 18 million students like you guys studying in the higher education system as we speak. That's 180 lakhs. The total number of youth entering workforce, not just the higher education system, but across the board, is about 20 million every year. Every year, 20 million youth of between 18 to 20-year-olds come in looking for a job. The organized sector jobs, which provide careers, is only 7% of all the jobs that are available, which means 93% of the jobs are in the unorganized sector. Which means if Ramesh wants to go work in the organized sector, 7 out of 100 will get into the organized sector, which gives careers. Otherwise, there are no jobs. Right? If you can keep clicking the slides on, please. Right? So, as I said, we train people further. Next one. And that's when we realize that there are no jobs, there are no careers, right? And the biggest thing, and completely agree with the principal who spoke about saying that I think we are a nation creating a nation of job seekers, and which is why I value the work that NEN is doing so much. I believe that we have to move away from being job seekers to job creators, because there are no enough jobs. If all the 20 million people came in and said, I want careers, obviously there are aspirations, but there's nothing to go around. And if we create a nation of job seekers, we are doomed as a country, right? And which is where we realize that, if you keep the slides going, we realize that instead of careers, can we start further? Instead of the job seekers, can we create the job creators itself? The other thing, if you go on to the next slide and keep clicking. So it's got a little thing, and I just want to leave it there. Just go back, please. What we're realizing is that people don't see. So how many of you said don't want to be entrepreneurs? Fantastic. This is the only hall that I've not seen a single hand go up. Okay? The point I'm trying to make is that a lot of people say, I don't want to be an entrepreneur, I want a job. And I say it is a continuum. It is a continuum from you get a job. I'm not saying all of you have to jump in and become entrepreneurs immediately. May not be. Some of you will get a job. You then move to creating a job that you want to create on your own. You then subsequently move to saying, how can I create jobs for myself? You become a self-employed guy. And more importantly, you then start saying, how do I create jobs for others? Right? And then you're creating the economy. So it is a continuum, and what we are doing at Headed High is trying to figure out how do you convert job seekers into job creators? How do you bring entrepreneurial capacities to come into play? So about a few months ago, we launched, again inspired by NEN, we launched something called as Antar Prerana, which is inner motivation, as an entrepreneur network in rural Karnataka. So in districts like Bidar, Gadag, Shimoga, we are doing monthly meetings, we're doing entrepreneur networks, we're doing training programs, we're doing product awareness sessions, so on and so forth, so that on one hand, you're training people to become employable. On the other hand, you are now increasing entrepreneurial capacities. And third, you're bringing in markets and services that make sense for rural. So we now started partnering with a lot of entrepreneurs like you who have products for agriculture, healthcare, financial inclusion, digital inclusion, so on and so forth. And we're bringing entrepreneurs to the table saying these guys will be your last mile. And that is the business model that we're building, saying if I can bring entrepreneurs, talent, and markets together, then at Headed High, we can start creating what we are calling as a rural access accelerator. So much so that we've stopped calling them rural. If you take talent, if you take entrepreneurial spirit, aspirations, and technology access, you get a new rural, and we've actually started to call them as Rubens, the new rural urbans. And we've coined a term called Rubenomics as a new model of rural development. And Rubenomics, we've actually at SP Jain, at SDM in Mysore, we've set up centers of Rubenomics to help youth like you, in that sense, coming from an urban metro, to connect to rural and explore these opportunities as bridges. right? And that's what we're doing, if you just go to the next slide. Entrepreneur network that we have. And we've got a fascinating set of responses. In fact, this summer, we'll have 100 students working in 100 districts, 100 students like you, looking at what kind of entrepreneurial opportunities exist and what can I do to be the bridge between urban and rural. And I think if we can build those bridges together, the kind of opportunities, the kind of growth that India will see will be unprecedented, right? And for me, the huge inspiration I take away from this interaction is to see, that bright spirit in your eyes saying, we can do it. And I think that is what is required for us to keep the entrepreneurial spirit as well as the nation growth engines chugging. And that's what we're trying to build here. So we're saying three things. One, how do we provide career access to talent? How do we provide business access to entrepreneurs? And how do we provide market access to corporates? And we're doing it as a for-profit enterprise. I don't believe in charity. I don't believe in philanthropy, not because I don't believe in doing good, but I think there's a way that which you can do good, feel good, and make good money, and that is the social enterprise model. In fact, to a large extent, I've stopped calling myself as a social enterprise because I believe that every enterprise should do that. So in my worldview, there's an enterprise and there's an anti-social enterprise, not the other way around, right? And I think that is what I would urge each of you guys to do, is saying, how do you build entrepreneurial thinking, which is what you guys are doing here? How do you have a bias for action? How do you go out, do something? I talked about the just do it. Third, how do you work as a community? As I close my eyes, I can imagine hundreds of people who have helped me in my entrepreneurial journey, and I would have never been here if not for them, right? So it is a community. I have yet to come across one entrepreneur who said, I did it all by myself, right? The fourth, how do you do good, feel good, and make good money? How do you embed a social and a business impact into the stuff that you're doing? Because, you're just not measured by what you have. In fact, somebody said at our advisory board, somebody said a beautiful thing, and I'll just end it with that. Apparently, in fact, Mahatma Gandhi's great grandson, Tushar Gandhi, is on our board. And Tushar was talking of an example where he asked somebody, what's your net worth? So the guy said, financial numbers. I have a house, this, that, and all that. He said, what do you think Mahatma Gandhi's net worth was? There's a beautiful photo that I have of all the worldly things that Mahatma Gandhi left when he died. Hardly 6 or 7 items. And he asked, whose net worth do you think is higher? There's no answer to that question, right? Obviously, it is Mahatma Gandhi's net worth that is higher. So the point is, how do you measure your net worth, not just only in financial terms, but about in terms of the impact that you guys have made, impact that your ideas have had on the society, impact that people look up and say, you know what, I'm living a better life because of him or her. And I think to me, that is the path forward, because as India as a country, we can't afford to blindly ape models in the West and say it's working there, so I'll do an e-commerce model here. Not that we don't need e-commerce model here, but we need many, many more things beyond that if we got to make a difference.